For the first time, the World Wrestling Federation broadcast its annual King of the Ring tournament as a pay-per-view event from Dayton, Ohio, in June 1993. The event featured the final 3 rounds of the tournament, with the winner of the final being crowned King of the Ring. The Hitman Bret Hart looks to rebound from his title loss to the mighty Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9 with a win in the tournament for the second time. The immortal Hulk Hogan shocked the wrestling world after defeating Yokozuna in an impromptu match to win his 5th WWF Championship at WrestleMania, but the Mammoth Beast from the Orient seeks retribution and proudly proclaims supremacy for the land of the rising sun, while eliminating Hulkamania forever. Also, Shawn Michaels defends the Intercontinental Championship versus Crush, and a huge 8-man tag team matchup featuring the Steiner Brothers, the Smoking Guns, the Head Shrinkers, and Money Inc. all goes down at King of the Ring 93. The event opens with the first King of the Ring quarterfinals match between former WWF champion Bret Hart and Razor Ramon. Bret takes the early lead, even with a few Razor clotheslines. He focuses on Ramon's arm and maintains control during some reversal and comeback attempts. Razor eventually catches Bret off guard with a knee and drives him shoulder first into the post. Next, he stomps on Bret's hands and executes a fallaway slam followed by a power slam. He then performs a side slam, but he fails to connect with some elbow drops. Bret retaliates with punches, an inverted atomic drop, and a clothesline. He also delivers a Russian leg sweep, a backbreaker, and a diving elbow, but Razor counters by sending him into the corner during a bulldog attempt. Razor takes advantage by attempting a Razor's edge, but Bret counters with a backslide and a roll-up that only results in a 2 count. Razor rebounds once more and positions Bret on the top rope for a super back suplex, but Bret twists in midair and lands on Razor for the victory. The next quarterfinal match would be between Mr. Perfect and Mr. Hughes. Hughes pushes Perfect around the ring, but Perfect responds with an arm drag followed by a dropkick. Hughes remains standing and retaliates with a punch that knocks Perfect over the ropes. He subsequently brings Perfect back inside and delivers headbutts and forearms before applying a neck vice. Perfect struggles to escape the hold, but Hughes connects with a sidekick and returns to the hold. Perfect then attempts to pull his tie, but that effort proves ineffective. Next, Hughes throws Perfect into the corner, and Perfect sells the bump like a champ, but Hughes fails to connect with a running knee strike on the ropes. Perfect counters with a hip toss, backdrop, and neck whip, prompting Hughes to grab the urn and hit him, resulting in a disqualification. The third match of the night is another tournament quarterfinal between Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Bam Bam Bigelow. The two men clash several times until Duggan finally brings down Bam Bam using a couple of clotheslines. Bam Bam takes a moment to recover and scratches Duggan's eyes, but Duggan retaliates with some punches. Nevertheless, Duggan fails to connect on a corner charge and injures his ribs. Jim tries to execute a slam, but his ribs hinder him. Bigelow exploits this situation and assaults Duggan's injury before trapping him in a bear hug. Duggan struggles against it, but Bam Bam delivers headbutts until he fails to connect with a diving one. Duggan makes another attempt at a slam, but Bigelow shifts his weight and goes back to the bear hug. Then, Duggan escapes the hold by biting and dodging a knee lift from Bigelow, but he collides into the corner during a running clothesline attempt. Bam Bam takes advantage of the moment and executes a flying headbutt to secure the victory. The last quarterfinal matchup between Lex Luger and Tatanka, who have yet to be defeated in the WWF, is next. Tatanka gains control with chops, clotheslines, and a backdrop, prompting Luger to regroup. Tatanka then targets Luger's arm and maintains his grip during a slam and a hammerlock reversal. However, Luger responds with a back elbow, a few kicks and shoulders, and a backbreaker. He also executes some jumping elbow drops with a powerful yell, but Tatanka surprises him with a roll-up for a 2 count. It's insufficient, so Luger goes back to wearing down Tatanka and boasts. Tatanka manages to catch Luger off guard with another roll-up and a sunset flip, but neither is successful. Luger persists with his assault and provokes the fans until Tatanka begins performing a war dance. He strikes Lex with numerous chops, including flying ones, prompting Luger to retaliate with clotheslines. He also delivers a power slam, backdrop, and a suplex, but these only garner 2 counts. Then, he executes a backbreaker, but the time limit elapses and the bell rings. Luger throws a tantrum and requests a microphone. He states that he wants 5 more minutes because he came there to be crowned king of the ring. The fans support the idea, and Tatanka appears ready, but Luger removes his elbow pad and ambushes Tatanka with his forearm. The officials then arrive and order Luger out of the ring. The one remaining semifinal matchup is next between Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. The two competitors exchange holds and counters with considerable intensity and then exchange slams before knocking each other to the mat. Bret then catches Perfect off guard with a crucifix, crossbody, and a slingshot sunset flip before returning to mat holds. Perfect counters with a knee strike, several kicks, and a dropkick that sends Bret crashing to the floor. He then pretends to let Bret back into the ring, but instead kicks him. They continue to brawl on the floor and at the ropes until Perfect sends Bret crashing into the guardrail. He sells an injury to his knee, prompting Perfect to capitalize on the situation. He delivers a missile dropkick, sending Bret crashing chest first into the corner. Then, Perfect descends to the top again, but Bret prevents him from executing his move by crouching him and performs a superplex. Following that, he targets Perfect's legs and secures a figure 4, although Perfect eventually manages to reach the ropes. Perfect retaliates by tossing Bret around by his hair and locking in a sleeper hold, but Bret too grabs the ropes. Perfect attempts another sleeper hold, but Bret counters by sending him into the post and executing several of his signature moves. He also aims for the sharpshooter, but Perfect intervenes by attacking Bret's injured fingers to thwart the move. Next, Perfect tries for a perfect plex, but Bret defends against it, and both wrestlers fall out of the ring during a suplex attempt. They come back inside, and Perfect goes for a roll-up, but Bret flips it around for the victory. Perfect exits the ring and shouts at Bret, but he ultimately collects himself and extends his hand to him. Shifting away from the tournament for the moment, Yokozuna challenges Hulk Hogan for the WWF title in the next encounter. The ring is surrounded by Japanese photographers in anticipation of a historic moment. Yoko is capable of pushing Hogan around and striking him with chops, forearms, and headbutts. He also slams Hogan and tosses him around the ring, but he fails to connect with a corner splash. Hogan responds with 10 punches in the corner and some biting, followed by a corner clothesline. After that, he attempts to slam Yoko a few times, but he is unable to do so. Hogan injures his back during these attempts, prompting Yoko to exploit it. Hogan tries to retaliate with clotheslines, but Yoko sends him crashing to the mat. Nonetheless, Yoko misses a splash. Hulk then makes an effort with a shoulder block, but he rebounds off of Yokozuna and Yoko ensnares him in a bear hug. He begins to lose consciousness, but he regains his strength and punches his way out of the hold. Hogan's back is still in pain, so Yoko executes a belly-to-belly. However, Hogan starts to hook up. It takes 3 powerful boots to bring Yoko down to the mat, and then Hogan delivers the leg drop, but Yoko escapes at 2. Hogan is stunned and attempts to deliver another leg drop, but the bearded photographer ascends to the apron. Jimmy Hart attempts to intervene, but he gets kicked by the photographer. Hogan asks what he is up to, but then the camera detonates in Hogan's face. Yoko swiftly executes a throat chop followed by a leg drop to secure the victory. After the bout, Hogan drags himself around on the mat and pretends that he is unable to see. He then quips that the intense lights were overwhelming for him. Yoko notices the exposed Hogan, thus he knocks him down and performs the bonsai drop. Jim Ross explains that Yoko has crushed Hulkamania, prompting Heenan to joyfully proclaim it dead as the ring fills with Japanese media. The Steiner brothers are deep into the chase of money incorporated in the WWF Tag Team Championships. In the next bout, they are joined by 2 other brothers, Billy and Bart, the Smoking Guns, to take on DiBiase, IRS, and the Head Shrinkers with a foot in an 8-man tag team matchup. DiBiase and Scott Steiner begin the match and exchange takedowns and holds until Scott connects with a dropkick. He subsequently clotheslines Ted out of the ring 2 times, prompting DiBiase to regroup and tag Fatu. Bart Gunn also joins the match and outmaneuvers Fatu before delivering a dropkick in a facebuster, but Fatu no-sells the offense. Bart finds himself in a precarious situation as Money Incorporated and the Head Shrinkers take turns double-teaming him. They perform suplexes, backdrops, and even bite poor Bart before headbutting him. Next, IRS enters the match, but Bart catches him off guard with a sunset flip. It's insufficient, however, as both competitors end up falling due to a double clothesline. Bart eventually tags Billy, who proceeds to clear the ring until DiBiase executes a hotshot and traps him in a $1 Million Dream. Ted becomes overconfident and releases Billy, allowing Billy to surprise him with a roll-up to secure the victory. In another title bout, Shawn Michaels defends the Intercontinental Championship against Crush. Crush sends Shawn crashing out of the ring early on with a shoulder block and performs some unexpected leapfrogs and drop kicks. Shawn continues to attempt to recover, but Crush executes some arm drags in the press slam, followed by a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. However, Diesel diverts Crush's attention, allowing Shawn to strike from behind. Next, Shawn turns the referee's attention away and Diesel also strikes him. Shawn then follows up by smashing Crush's head into the post several times. It seems Shawn is planning to let the referee count out Crush, but he ultimately chooses to bring him back inside and try for a pin. This fails, so Shawn delivers multiple axe handles and secures him in a front face lock. Crush attempts to power out repeatedly, but Shawn maintains the hold. Eventually, Crush mounts a comeback, sending Shawn to the outside before delivering a backdrop and a backbreaker. Crush also lands a big boot and a leg drop, but he only secures a 2 count. He then throws Shawn out of the ring again, but the two doinks appear and distract Crush. They walk down the aisle in perfect sync while smoking cigars. They mock Crush, prompting Shawn to sneak back into the ring and deliver a superkick to the back of Crush's head. Crush rebounds off the turnbuckles, and Shawn covers him for the victory to retain his title. The last match of the event would be the King of the Ring tournament final between Bret Hart and Bam Bam Bigelow. To this point, Bigelow enjoys the advantage of having wrestled one fewer match than Bret by receiving a semifinal bye. Bam Bam misses an early charge, and they exchange hits, but Bigelow comes out ahead in the trade. He delivers forearms and tries for a press slam, but Bret turns it into a pin attempt. He subsequently targets Bam Bam's arm, but Bam Bam counters with headbutts and a shoulder block before press slamming Bret onto the floor. After that, Bam Bam directs his attack on Bret's lower back with falling headbutts and a back suplex before putting him in a bear hug. When that fails, they brawl to the floor, and Bret reverses Bigelow into the guardrail. He also executes an elbow from the apron, but Bam Bam catches him during another attempt. He slams Bret against the post and drops him onto the floor. Bigelow then diverts the referee's attention, and Luna arrives to strike Bret with a chair. She swiftly flees before the referee can notice her, and Bam Bam pushes Bret back into the ring. He then performs the flying headbutt for the apparent victory, but referee Earl Hebner enters the ring and informs the referee about what took place. The match resumes after the confusion is cleared up. Bam Bam continues his assault on Bret's back and locks him in both a bear hug and a Canadian backbreaker. Bret turns it into a back suplex, but Bigelow is the first to recover. Nevertheless, he misses a senton splash, and Bret cannot take advantage. Bigelow reverts to the backbreaker until Bret transitions into a sleeper hold. Bigelow snapmares Bret out of the hold, and they end up on the floor where Bret connects with a slingshot crossbody. Then, Bret brings him back into the ring and follows his regular routine, but Bigelow blocks the sharpshooter. They counter through various moves again until Bret catches Bam Bam off guard with a boot and executes a victory roll for the victory. Following the match, Bret approaches the podium for the coronation ceremony where he's presented a cape, a crown, and a scepter. He's subsequently announced as the King of the Ring. However, Jerry Lawler interrupts the event and labels Bret as a fraud. He asserts that he is the sole king of the WWF. Jerry then claims he will permit Bret to be a prince provided he gets on his hands and knees and kisses his feet. Bret responds by stating that Lawler has a lot of audacity for someone who lacked the courage to participate in the tournament. He then refers to Lawler as the Burger King and encourages the audience to chant the name. Lawler, fed up, assaults Bret from behind. He strikes him with the scepter, tramples the crown, and drops the throne onto Bret's back. Lawler then seizes the microphone and informs Bret that he offered him a chance, but now he is going to force Bret to kiss his feet. He then delivers a kick to Bret's face, knocking him down the steps. The Steiners traded, before finally securing the tag team titles from Money Inc. over the next week. IRS soon resumed his singles pursuit while the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, began to slowly phase into a more managerial position after feuding with Razor Ramon in the 1-2-3 Kid. After a solid performance in the tournament, a conflict stemming from WrestleMania 9 resurfaced as an ailing Mr. Perfect would challenge Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title he once held. Following the attack from Jerry the King Lawler, Bret Hart's attention was diverted away from the WWF title for a while, as he would feud with the King off and on over the next several years. This would be the last match for Hulk Hogan in the WWF for nearly 9 years, as it appeared at the time. We had seen the end of Hulkamania following the crushing defeat by Yokozuna. This time, there would be no immediate challenge, as members of the Japanese press gleefully basked in the glory of victory. However, out of a cloud of narcissism, Lex Luger emerged as the American hero poised to take back that glory, body-slamming Yokozuna on Independence Day aboard the USS Intrepid, and challenging him for the WWF title at SummerSlam.